Welcome. We're going to be talking about brains and intimacy, or what you call it, sexy time on brains. So let's get started. We already know that intimacy is the most important component in a relationship. So today we're going to be nerding out on this video. And I made this video about 3 years ago about the intimacy cycle. And today I want to get deeper in a woman's body. So we're going to learn about what's going on in her 4 phases of the sex cycle. If you're a man watching this, I want to welcome you, but it's nothing going to be nearly as what you call the late night show or your adult subscriptions. Please take notes as you need it. And if you're new to my channel and you don't know who I am, I'm Sindy V King. I'm a creator of Calling in My King. I help transform a woman to create lasting love through Vedic astrology, neuroscience, and transactional analysis so that she becomes the queen of love. So we already know that women estrogen's more peaks during the 14th cycle, which is more when she's ovulating. So we're going to start off with knowing that information. And if you feel free, you want more information about this, I have great resources at the very bottom, reference where I got my information. So please feel free to have a look in the description. So let's talk about phase 1. The sexual desire and the desire of a result of orchestrating between our sensory system is considered to be our vision, hearing, taste, smell, and touch. So that's the phase 1, which is the desire part. I call it the sexual hunger, which is actually activated in the hip, which can be also pronounced like this.
Hypothalamus.
So the hypothalamus is the structure part of the brain where our hunger triggers us and say, time to eat or time to go get it, because you're emotionally ready to launch. So the structure in our emotion controls is the center, which is also regulates our hunger and appetites, and as well as our thirst and our body temperature. That's what is component in. You also notice in her body that her heart rate increase and her breathing also increase as well. When we look at the vital primary check or a secondary vitals check. So this is component when we notice her skins go flush. So it's also known as sexual flush. Her body starts to release more neurotic oxide. This stage also lasts anywhere between a few minutes into several hours. So the sexual activity during this stage is often called foreplay. So extended foreplay can also sometimes make the other stage intense. And the reason why our foreplay is important during the stage is which makes gonna move forward to the arousal. So they say that half to quarters of women get sexual flush, and which also can show as a pink patch developing in the breast area and around her body as well. And it depends on her skin color. If you're more like my skin color, which is olive, it's a little bit harder to be blushing, because if you naturally can blush, that's great. But if you're somebody who's more of an olive color, it's a little bit more challenging, and you have to wear more of blush powder to make that illusion there. The blood starts to flow. It means the genitals starts to increase. Clitoral wet swells, and the vagina begins to lubricate. It gets wet and slippery. The blood flow of a woman's breast increase as well as her nipples, and may get even hardened. Her heart rate as well increase, and you can see as the blood pressure also increase, and her respiratory rate would also increase as well. And we want to move into the phase 2 arousal. So the phase 2 arousal taps into the brain called
Amygdala.
Amygdala is also nearby the hippocampus, and it's also responsible for alerting us to change our environment and detecting our senses. So this part of the body of the brain increases associated with sexual arousal. And during the sexual arousal, our body shows the same sign of a life-threatening situation or emergency. So the muscle starts to tense, increasing as well heart rate and blood pressure and respiratory and pupil dilation as well, and tunnel vision. So if you hear the word fight or flight, that's a very similar where the brain starts to increase. But we notice in the outer of the vagina, it starts to swell, but the genital areas turns into a darker color. The clitoral is very sensitive at this point, and underneath the hood as well. The heart rate is still increasing during this time, and you also notice in some women the muscle tensions and the increase of spasm may occur on the face or hands or feet as well. So we're going to move on to the phase 3 of the orgasm, which involves peaking the activity of the sympathetic branch of the automatic nervous system. So that means the nuclear accumbens is the pleasure center of the brain, which anything has to do with the pleasurable activities, and dopamine is being released as a form of nuclear chemical as a messenger associated with the pleasure, reward, and reinforcement. The flow in this area, and it gives the message of this is fun, this feels good, let's do it again, this smells good, this tastes good, I'm never going to forget this moment, and let's do it again. So a similar mechanism been found in orgasm, which is also known as the nematosis, which we choose food over sex. And this just simply means that the demonstration ability to remember past sexual encounters. Scientists have found the region that significant activate during orgasm is the team found including part of the prefrontal cortex. And that's the orbit frontal cortex, the insula, and the cingulus gyrus, and the cerebellum. These brain regions from various involvements in the process of emotions and senses of pain, as well as the regulation of some of the metabolic process of decision making. There is a release of oxytocin and increase of a dopamine varies in the vagina as well, and start of the contracts. Oxytocin wipes out the cortisol. That's the major stress level, and most of us exist in high cortisol levels anyways, and oxytocin balances it, leaving you feeling relaxed and control and sociable as well. The muscle in the outer of the vagina contract rapid series of pulse and first contraction, and most of important tense of the consents of together. The muscle and the uterus also contract. Or during orgasm, some women release a clear fluid during her uterus. This is also considered to be known as ejaculation, or what we call as well as squirting. Most research stated that it's not actually urine that's coming out, but instead it's clear fluid, similar to the fluid that contains a man's sperm. She's not peeing on you, so don't worry about that, or she's not wetting the bed here. Scientists also have stated that a third of the women have orgasm from penetration, and the others don't. When women orgasm swell, the clitoris lipa minore, and the vagina wall also enlarge. The muscle around this opening of the vagina grows thicker, and the uterus expands and lubricates fluid is produced. The breast also swells and the nipples gets harder. So let's move on to the fourth stage, which is the resolution stage. It's considered to be an active of the parasympathetic branch of the automatic nervous system. A woman's clitoris and nipple starts to soften, the vagina and genital returns back to normal size and colors, and her breathing rates and her blood pressure also decrease during this process. This might take typically longer for a woman than a man, although some women may be able to return the plateau stage at this point. The muscle starts to relax, her blood pressures drop, and serotonin is a neurotransmitter that regulates your mood and makes you feel peaceful, happy, and hopeful. I want to thank you for taking the time. I hope you guys really enjoy this. I really enjoy making the series, and I'm looking forward to making the man's version of this. So I want you, if you made it this far in this video, I want to know what you have learned through this video. Maybe leave a comment down below what you have learned about a female's body during a sexual either orgasm or the 4 stages, or anything that you didn't know. And So I will see you guys in the next video, and